Hey there, practice makes perfect, right? But guess what? So does playing with your paint. You may sometimes think that you need to practice your watercolor washes so that you can get them to come out perfect every time with just smooth flowing transitions and smooth, flat, beautiful, no cauliflowers, no back runs, no streaky parts and no splotchy parts. But that does not mean you have to paint lots and lots of boring exercises and lots of boring color swatches and whole pages worth of expensive watercolor paper filled with one big solid color just so you can practice this and I'm gonna get this right. But no, you don't have to be boring like that just to practice your flat and your graded and your variegated washes in watercolor. Variegated, by the way, that's where it transitions from one color into another color and it's smooth and beautiful and you get a lot of other colors changes going along the way. It's just beautiful and it's a skill that we all want to have in our watercolor repertoire. I have a super fun project that lets you, it's perfect for practicing those washes while still having some creative fun and making beautiful artwork. You won't be bored and you won't be wasting paper. Let me show you. You can see right here on my table, I have got some pictures that I created. This one, I'm calling this one Kinda Froggy because he sort of looks like a frog to me. And this one is a jaunty jalopy because it sort of looks like that to me. I've actually drawn lots of these, and you can see from these samples that you can take them in many different directions. This is actually called ZenDoodling, which is a less formal version of something called ZenTangle, which is a structured drawing of patterns to fill in different areas on your artwork. These last two pictures are of the actual project we're working on today, and I've added them in here after the fact through the miracle of technology. What you're going to need to do first is you're going to want to draw some random lines on here. I just have a regular mechanical pencil. You can use whatever pencil you want to use. Excuse me. All right, and one key thing you want to keep in mind is don't draw, let me get a little scratch piece of paper here. Don't go crazy drawing a whole bunch of that's not going to work. That's no good. Don't do that. What you want to do is make big swooping lines, and they need to cross over each other a lot of times. The more times they cross, the more interest you're going to have, and you're going to bring it back to the beginning and connect up your line. So now I've got this thing going on here, and I did not attempt to make it look like anything. I didn't carry an idea in my head. I think I want this to look like a bird, or I want this to look like a baseball player, or a birthday cake. I did not do that. Once you've done a lot of these, you can get where you can kind of do that a little bit. You can just have a general idea in your mind. Just for an example though, I did not do that on either one of these. No idea in mind of what I wanted the end result to be. I just made a big thing like that. Same with this one. Just made a crazy little drawing. Let's paint both of these. The cover is coming off. This New York Central watercolor paper is really good stuff. I like it. It's not quite as expensive as your Arches or your Saunders Waterford, whatever the I can't remember. I might have those backwards. And several of the other really high quality, expensive watercolor papers. This is really pretty good. It's comparable, in my opinion, and it's not quite as expensive. So if you want to use slightly less expensive paper, this is a good option for you. And I will, I'll try to put a link down in the description if you want to go find it on Amazon. I'm new to affiliate links, so if it's not there, excuse me, pardon me for a little bit till I figure out those affiliate links, and then I'll get links in there for the stuff I'm using. What I want to show you here is you're going to just pick colors. Now you can approach this any number of ways. You can pick one color and practice your values. That would be where, say I'm going to use, let's start with some burnt umber. And I'm just going to get a lot of good paint here on my brush. And I'm not going to make a puddle to start off with. Well, yeah, I guess I will. So I'm going to make a little puddle here, but my first color is going to be really a strong dark value. Let's see, let's put that color right in here. I'm going to just paint in this whole shape with this paint. Now this is why I said you can practice, because you can get your practice in making this a nice flat wash or flat coverage over this whole little shape here. And one of the keys to doing that is to keep loading your brush again. And don't try to paint the whole thing with your brush loaded just once. It's also best not to go back over anything like I'm doing right now. And I can see a little bit of a line there. If I had time, I would stand this up like this and let it dry like this, and that will run down there. Or sometimes it's better to put it like this so it can run the other direction, but you can experiment with that too and get where you're able to make that dry nice and flat. Okay, now I'm going to just dip my brush in my water and add a little water to that puddle. And I'm going to use exactly the same color, and I think I will paint this section right here. And I'm going to start out with where this tiny part is, because I can work out from there, and I can work constantly moving in one direction, no back and forth, and work out toward the other end of that shape. And you see I've got kind of a wet leading edge there, and when you get over to the end you don't need as much in your brush, because you're going to end up with a little puddle at the end here, and you don't want a very big puddle there, because then you'll get a back run. So now I've got a nice smooth wash there, and I'm going to take my brush and dip it in the water again and add more water to that same puddle. So it's the same color, I just added more water. So I'm practicing values. I've got a dark value, a mid value, and I'm going to see if I can put a light value, and I'm going to go for this section right here. Another trick when you're working on these, in addition to starting at one end and working all the way to the other, is don't paint right, like I wouldn't paint this one right here, right side by side with that, because if that's still wet and I paint here, those two are going to run together. But that's another thing you'll learn as you practice. I also like to paint with a flat, angled shader brush. I never did get where I really like to paint with a round brush. That's my personal preference, but I like it because I can easily get really good coverage on here without having to go back and paint over sections. Get one stroke and it's covered, which is really good when you're painting in watercolor. And because the brush has a pointy end, I can get into tiny little spots. It gives me a lot of control, and that's what I like when I'm painting. This brush is a Princeton Velvet Touch 3/8 inch angled shader. I will also try to put a link for that down in the description, so you can go on Amazon and purchase these brushes if you want to. Okay, so you see how I've got one color but different values of it. Now I'm going to add some quinacridone gold to that puddle and just change up the color a little bit. And I'm going to leave that nice and strong like that, and I'm going to paint this shape right here. And I'm going to start right up in this little tip. Get that on there. And I'm moving that wet leading edge right around and around, and I'm keeping it, you know, this is my leading edge. That will allow me to keep painting and not have any smudgy marks. It'll stay nice and smooth and pretty. My flat wash will. This is why they had me practicing when I first started painting watercolor. Give me these sheets of paper and tell me to paint a line across the top, and then you know, load my brush and catch that bubble of paint and paint it back to the other side, and just do pages and pages of that. And when you're done, all you've got is a bunch of practice sheets. I really like this project because when I am finished with practicing painting, then I can do some stuff to it and turn it into a beautiful piece of artwork. This paper, this size, could be a postcard. My other size, could fold it in half and turn it into a greeting card. Send that to your friends, and they'll never even know you were just practicing. Alright, what else color might I want to have on here? I'm going to add, I'm going to just put some of this straight out of here. I'm going to put it right up here in the top of this. So this is the same color as that one, but just with less water, and there's no, you know, I did mix it with the burnt sienna puddle, but it was so watery, it really, it's still got really light value. And this color, just straight quinacridone gold, it looks darker than this because of how much water I added to this one, and I didn't add as much to this one. So anyway, this is a great way to practice, and you learn all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna pick up some of this orange I've got right here, and I'm gonna put it right in here. Oh, that's a pretty color. You're also able to learn, practice, and do sort of research here. What colors mix together to make really pretty colors that I like, and you make a note of those combinations. You can note it right on the back of your paper that you painted, or you can make a notebook that you keep all this stuff written down in. And then you've done a lot of research and you've learned a lot of stuff, and your practice ends up creating a piece of artwork that you can use for something.
All right, I'm going to put this in time lapse and speed it up so we can finish the painting and get to the other part of the project.
Brushes away. I probably won't be able to paint anymore, but I'll leave it out just in case. And I'll switch gears, get all my pens and markers out. Now you can use any kind of markers or pens that you want. This is just a regular, what is this? Pilot G2. Just a regular pen like that, and it works just fine. I like to use these micron pens because they come in all these different sizes. This is a 1. Well, it's a 0.01, I think. Look at that. There's a 1, a 2, a 3. I've got an 8. Somewhere I have a 5. I don't know where it is. And then this one is a bigger one. It is a 1, whereas this is an 0.8. So, and that has to do with the weight of the line. That's where we get into this stuff where we're putting all these lines on here. And some of my lines are thicker, and some of them are very thin and fine lines. And that's where the fine lines would be the 0.1. And the thicker ones are my 0.8 and this 1. And I'm going to show you what I do is I just look at it and I get an idea. Either I'm going to get an idea of what it's going to be, or if I don't get an idea of what I want it to be, then I just find one place, one starting place. That is exactly what I did on this one. I just picked, what did I pick? I think I picked this one right here, and I just started putting marks on it. And as I did that, I think I went from here to this, and as I did that, I started to get an idea. And then I would do the next idea that I had in the next until it ended up I created this. And I had no idea it was going to turn out to be this. I didn't plan to paint this. I just planned to practice painting my washes and stuff. And I created a pretty fun piece of art there. Same thing for this little froggy guy. I actually, on the frog, let me put this down here on the table and show you. These white areas, I used a wax resist. And I didn't have a wax pen, but I had some birthday candles, and they're white wax, and I just took one of these birthday candles out of here, and I used the end that does not have the wick sticking out, and I just colored some circles in this section. There was no paint on it at all. It was plain white piece of paper, just with the drawing on it, like we started out with the drawing on these. At that point, before you put any paint on, you can put a little wax resist on a few places, and I started getting an idea as I was putting it together, and so I just put some. This is the wax resist right here, and this is, I colored it. Now you can't see it when you're coloring on your paper with either a wax pen that's made specifically for this and might cost you $8 or so, or if you're coloring with a birthday candle that you can get a set of 24 from the Walmart for $1, and they work just as good. You can't see it on the paper, but then when you paint on it, the paint does not stick. So that's why it's a wax resist. The paint doesn't stick there very good. It makes this nice textured look. And I think you can probably spend the money and get that fancy pen and it might not stick at all. But you get the same general idea. So I just played with it and started drawing, and then an idea kind of came to me and I figured out what I wanted it to be. This one, I'm going to draw one thing and then I think you're going to have an idea of what I see in this thing. Let's see, right here I'm going to put this. And then here I'm going to put, let's see. Okay, are you starting to see a face? I can't help it, I see a face there.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to time lapse so we can wrap this up pretty quickly here. But I just want to show you what I do is I just sit and draw and I take my time and I fill up as many of the areas as I want to or as few as I want to with whatever pattern seems to fit or come to my mind at the moment when I'm drawing.
Okay, well, I hope you had a super amount of fun with that, and the next time you want to be a little creative and just play with your paint a little bit, but you don't really have a goal in mind or a project to paint, you'll think of this project and you'll have fun with a little watercolor practice combined with a little ZenDoodling, and you'll amaze yourself and your family and friends with the beautiful artwork that you create. Don't forget to look in the description for links. There's just a couple of links in there. I didn't put one for everything, but I put them for some of the tools and supplies that we used in this video. The paintbrush, the erasers, the paper, I forget what all. But anyways, I did put a couple of links in there. They will take you to Amazon, and I am an affiliate with them, and I will get a little bit of a commission, but you will not pay any extra if you use my links to purchase the items I have in there. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe for me and like my video, and I'll see you next time.